Peoples, yes, we are back. Cruz KHAOZ back with another video. Un saludo a toda la gente que se conecta hoy, este día conmigo. Uh, y you know what's going on in the news. At least the most important for me is what's going on with these deportees to El Salvador. Of course, by now y'all know that I am Salvadoran. And yeah, let's take a look at these news because to tell you the truth, this is not looking good for anybody. It's not looking good for the deportees. It's not looking good for the United States. It is not looking good for El Salvador. It's not looking good for anybody. But let's do a little bit of this and see what happens. Let's get up on the news a little bit and see what they're saying here. All this stuff is key because, like I told you last time, they're also doing this to American citizens. So this will affect all of us. Let's do this news.
The Trump administration is asking the Supreme Court to block a judge's order to return a man who was deported to El Salvador after an administrative error. Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia's wife, who's a U.S. citizen, identified him in this prison photo. Now she's suing to bring him home.
Kilmer, if you can hear me, I miss you so much.
The judge called his deportation illegal and ordered the administration to facilitate his return. But the administration's appealing and placing two of its own attorneys on leave, saying they failed to zealously advocate for the government's interests. Let's bring ABC's Alex Prechet for more. Alex, on top of that, the government's also saying it's just not feasible to get him back to the U.S. now. So what's the latest?
Right, of course. All of a sudden, they have the United States is powerless. All of a sudden, the United States has no power over the smallest country in Central America, a country of 6 million. The United States has no power over the same country that they're paying $6 million to house these deportees. They don't have any power over them. Por favor.
Latest on this case.
Yeah, well, so a lot of movement this morning on that case. So first, the Trump administration had appealed to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, basically to essentially put a stay on this judge's ruling to return Abrego Garcia back to the U.S. By 11:59 tonight. The Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals rejected that motion, and so now.
Okay, so here we go. The judge asked them to bring him back because obviously he's not guilty of anything, and he wasn't supposed to be deported. He wasn't supposed to be sent to a country to be treated like a terrorist, right? But now they're fighting back. The judge already said again, no, they denied the motion. This guy should be back in U.S. soil tonight. But the U.S. Trump administration is refusing to do it.
Now, the Trump administration has appealed to the Supreme Court for the same. But essentially, they're arguing that this lower judge's ruling to return this man to American soil basically undermines the diplomacy authority.
As you can see in that picture, this is how they're being treated. Imagine not being guilty, being sent to another country to be treated like this when you haven't committed any crimes and you're actually under a judge's protection, order that you should have stayed in the United States. But this is where you find yourself now.
Of the president, and that's something that they say should not happen. But meanwhile, this judge says that Abrego Garcia should be brought back to the United States because, as Homeland Security has acknowledged, his deportation, along with those 200 men that the administration says were known gang members to that mega prison in El Salvador, it was done by mistake, and thus he should be brought back home. His wife,
Again,
who is a U.S. citizen.
And we still don't know if all of those 200 people who were sent to El Salvador are guilty of anything. The government does not want to show any proof. They feel like they don't have to prove to anybody. But meanwhile, we have people out there saying, my son, my brother, my husband is there, and they're not guilty of anything. And if they are, show some proof. This is how we do things in the United States. Well, this is how we used to do things in the United States, I guess.
citizen, now suing the administration, the judge siding with her. But Diane, right now, there is no indication that the administration has started to engage with El Salvador about the potential process of bringing him back stateside.
So what are the next steps if the Supreme Court takes up this case?
Well, what's interesting here is the clock is really, really ticking here. But thus far, there is no indication that the Supreme Court will actually rule in this thus far. And so, it's setting up another one of those big legal challenges between the administration and the courts. They've already lost at least now in 2 rounds of lower courts. And so now they're obviously appealing to the highest court in the land. But
See, the crazy thing is that everybody knows it's wrong. It's wrong to send somebody who is not guilty of any crime. It's against the law to deport them, and it is obviously against the law to send them to another country and put them in jail in a terrorist prison, right? Obviously so. Why is the Trump government fighting? Why? It's only one guy. They deported 200, right? Well, they don't care. They just don't want to be wrong. Even when they're wrong, they're going to fight back and they're going to take it all the way to the Supreme Court just to fight this case, knowing full well that they are wrong. They already admitted he was sent to El Salvador, um, and they made a mistake, administrative mistake or whatever it was, you know. But so now they know they're wrong, but yet they refuse to deal with the situation and make it right. That's the problem. The problem is not that they made a mistake. The problem is that they know they made a mistake and they don't want to do anything about it. Instead, they're gonna go fight it. They're gonna go to the Supreme Court to try to do what? Like it makes no sense, people.
the other piece of this is, one of the reasons why the judge's ruling came down so forcefully about bringing Abrego Garcia back stateside was the representation for the government in this case. A man named Arez Ravini, he was the immigration attorney for the DOJ, arguing on behalf of the government. The judge acknowledging, and really kind of appearing frustrated in court hearings on Friday before she made her ruling, that he didn't answer any of her questions. He struggled to answer many of her questions. That attorney himself saying that he didn't have a lot of the answers, acknowledging that he was going to be frustrating the judge that day. And based off of that, he has now been suspended, as has his supervisor.
All right, ABC's Alex Perche, thank you.
Ridiculous. It's just ridiculous, right? I mean, none of this should be going on. None of this should be going on. They were wrong, and they should be able to fix their mistake. I don't see what the problem is here. It really makes no sense to me, right? It makes no sense that they will be doing this, all this. They'd be going through all this just to deport 200 people and send them wrongly convicted and send them to another country and they know they're wrong and they're still fighting. I don't get it. I don't know what's going to happen, guys, but with the stock market and all the firings that's going on, all the people who are being arrested illegally, like I said in the last video, man, we're in deep shit. But either way, man, I'm gonna leave it right there. My name is Cruz Chaos. This is KHAOZ TV, and I'll see you all on the next one. Peace.